Hey guys and girls, how are ya? Boy, I tell you what, man. Sitting through all this nonsense to finally get down so you can do the video. The game ends, so I sit down, I start going over all the stuff I had written down, all the notes I had made through the game, and I'm thinking to myself, oh gosh, I didn't mention every drive and all this. And then, I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute, Salah's press conference should be probably over by now. So now I gotta go watch that. So I go watch that, and I gotta add to it here and there. And I'm thinking to myself, should I make two videos? Because I know the ADD you guys suffer from out there. Because I have it, sitting through certain videos. But I said, no, I can't do that. If nobody's going to sit through the end when I talk about the Salah press conference, it's okay. I can't blame you. But I'm going to do it all in one. And it was a tough one. It was a tough one. I mean, a couple things I did not see happening. I didn't think, oh, God, first thing right off the bat, the offensive line was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. I did not see that coming. I didn't see it coming because I listened to Salah the last couple of weeks talk about, and he's asked, is Van Tucker, Vera Tucker, missing all this time and stepping around? He goes, I'm not concerned. And I thought to myself, now looking back on it, the honest answer would have been, hey, bud, I got nobody else. Him at like 60% is better than anything else I have on this bench. So I'm going to get the kids some playing time. We're not going to the Super Bowl this year. So, yeah, he's going to be in there. Will he struggle? Probably. He hasn't played in a long time. I mean, that's the honest answer. But he's not going to give that answer. And as the fan, you sit there and you heard your coach say, really? He's going to be like 100%? Like he'll be like right where he would be if he still practiced too? And so you don't think of those things. And you don't think of the fact that, Becton was going to struggle. Because Becton struggled until... We'll talk about that later. And the right side was horrible. But most importantly, the worst of it all, and I'm getting ahead of myself here, but I don't care. I'm just going to let this fly. The worst part of it was our picking up the blitzes, which was horrendous. But LaFleur's got to take the hit on this too. Is that, I mean, come on, we're football 101. A team's going to blitz like that constantly, the rush. You run some plays against that. You run a couple screen passes. You run a couple draws. You try something different. You just don't let the guy go back in the pocket again and just get his ass kicked the whole entire first half. And if you think back on what set the Jets off, finally, was Ty Johnson broke like a 9-10 yard run. And that's all it took, was just one little possibility that the Jets could, get past that. And it was after Moses came in at right tackle and Fant got moved over to left. And it was behind Moses and Van Roten, who we'll get to later. Dear God. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I didn't expect the offensive line. So if you're going to take the offensive line out of the equation and say, hey, listen, they're really going to have a rough game. Any analysis you do of the game, throw it down the crapper. You're going to be wrong. I thought we got a tremendous amount of help from Matt Rule and Brady, because they come out running the ball successfully, and then they just start passing the ball. And yeah, Sam had success in the passing game, but going into the second half, all of a sudden now they want to go to it. And when a team reads that you're trying to run some clock here, or they're taking the play clock in the third quarter, they start taking the play clock under 6 seconds, which I thought was brilliant, smart. But some of Matt Rule's decisions today were just, it was almost like he was doing everything he possibly could to keep the Jets around in the first half. That first 4th and 1, first of all, it was 4th and over 1. Second of all, you're running the ball to the left nonstop with success and up the middle, right? He decides to run one between the tackle and the tight end on the opposite side, which gives the whole defense near the goal line plenty of time to react. But it didn't make a difference because Sam turns and the ball brushes against the fullback, and they fumble the ball. I mean, they did everything they could to keep the Jets in the game. Everything. The Jets were horrendous in the first half. The offense was horrible. I can't say Zach Wilson sucked in the first half because everybody sucked in the first half. Saleh was in his press conference, and I'll talk about that later, was blaming the route running and this. It could be the route running, could be the quarterback holding the ball too long, could be bullshit, bull. We couldn't pick up the blitz. We couldn't pick up the blitz. For the most part, we weren't getting beat by their big boys up front. And the communication with the offensive line, I'm getting so far ahead of myself. This is when Zach gets sacked on that final drive, he could have gotten killed. Did you see I don't know if you guys saw the replay of that, but the read by Van Roten on that play was horrendous. The announcer says both Connor McGovern and Van Roten. It wasn't Connor McGovern. Defensive end, defensive tackle do the crossover, right? McGovern goes to the left first because there's nobody there yet, right? They're making their move, the tackle on the end, right? And he sees that guy's okay, gives him a push, pushes him back, gives him enough time. By the time he turns to the right, Van Roten has already turned to his right. Nobody's there. Nobody is there. And by the time he turns to the left, the guy's by him already. It was horrible. I don't understand as a left guard how you can do that, as a right guard how you can do that in the National Football League. It was a terrible play. And all I have to do is look at one play like that because we don't have our eyes constantly fixed on the offensive line. I mean, that's not why I put on the games. I'll do that like, watching a game again, or if I want to look for something, or, occasionally during the game I'll watch if I'm looking for something in particular. But, and you wonder why the media and the Jet fan base and his past, he gets beat up so much. I wrote in here, I cut him. You talk about why I shouldn't be a coach or a GM, man. I seriously, I wrote down here, cut him. After that play, you're going to get your quarterback killed. That was a dangerous play, man. But the problem is that we didn't see many of the replays on guys coming free up the middle. We saw that one, and I'm sure that was happening all day long. I can't remember I'm sure it happened several times. I do not remember any plays where I thought Zach held the ball too long. I don't know. Maybe it could be route running in certain situations if they were quick slants and everything, which we saw nothing. I don't understand the play calling today, But that'll all improve. I'm not too worried about that. The run game. Jesus. 25 yards, Tevin Coleman. I just jot them down. Let's see if my memory's decent. 25 yards, Tevin Coleman. 16 and 6. 16 Ty Johnson and 6 Michael Carter. 4 carries, 6 yards, Michael Carter. It was horrible. It was horrible. And our decision to run the ball into the line on 4th and 1, it's the NFL, it's 2021. 4th, and that was over 1. 4th and longer than 1. I mean, we've been Jet fans the last 2 or 3 years. In the NFL in 2021, unless you are really, really totally up on your offensive line, 4th and 1s, those are pass plays now. Coaches will tell you, for the most, you have a better chance of completing a 2-yard pass. They have a ton of confidence in completing 2-yard little passes. But their fear may have been that the way the Panthers were rushing, they were nervous about that. But all they knew is, in their hearts, they wanted to go for it. So for the decision of going for it, I can't blame them at all. I'm going to blame on the play call. But you know what? I really don't have a right to, because what I wanted They didn't show any sign that they could do that. So, you know what? Now that I'm sitting here talking about it, if you really boil it down and look at it, it was the offensive line today. It was totally the offensive line why the Jets lost this game. Everything was the offensive line. Yeah, the defense in the first half, blah, 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 blah. They in the second half, they did exactly what Sam played exactly. It was exactly what we thought would happen. And for all the talk and all the, about how great certain people played and everything, the bottom line is it was a, low scoring affair. The Jets defense played well enough to win the game. The Panthers definitely didn't do that much on offense. In the second half, they were horrendous. They were horrible on offense in the second half. 10 minutes into the video, and I haven't even broken it down yet. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this. So you know what? I'm going to speed do it. Because I've probably covered every time I talk about a play or something. I've already covered what I was going to talk about. Yeah, I mean, any way you look at it, it was the offensive line. I'm trying to think what parts of the game. The guys in the end, just before he made that play, are saying, "Hey, is Denzel Mims alive? Is he playing today?" Yeah. All right. So Denzel Mims didn't do much, but Jesus, Corey Davis had the couple big catches, and probably 3 or 4 big catches, right? And Barrios had 5 catches. The tight ends both had 3 receptions. I mean that position was open, so we'd got 6 catches from the tight end position. I would have taken that day any day of the week. And nothing from the running backs out of the backfield, really, right, to speak of. And the one play to Mims, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, it doesn't take brain surgery to figure this one out at all. It doesn't. I'm gonna go through this real quickly, each drive basically. Michael Carter makes a great play on the first drive. I thought Michael Carter, and I tell you right now, we got a player in Guidry. Where he's gonna end up on the scale, I don't know, but he's a keeper. Guidry is officially, in my book, a keeper. The tackle he made on McCaffrey in the end was sick. McCaffrey hasn't been tackled like that in a long time in the open field. I mean, it wasn't only one-on-one. If you watch the replay, they showed that one replay from behind the linebackers, like facing the quarterback. So as he's rolling to the right and McCaffrey's already on the right, all of a sudden across your screen, he's on this side of the ball. All of a sudden you see Guidry. I mean, Guidry wasn't like lined up on the left side, but where the linebackers were, like even over like the guard or the tackle on the left side. Guidry was over by the left tackle on this side. And you see him fly through the screen. And the next thing you know, within a couple seconds, he's right on McCaffrey. That was a tremendous play by Guidry. And listen, in the preseason, we saw several of those plays too. So I am officially a Guidry fan. He is a keeper. Jets, first the Jets had the ball. I didn't even list that here. Okay, Jets had the ball, nothing going. Then the Jets get the ball back, and we finally see one quick play where Zach does a Zach thing, rolls out to his right, makes that long pass to Davis, and Davis puts it. It was a hair behind Davis. It could have been a completion. Tough play to make, And then as we go back and forth, to me, the first time the game is completely on the line is when there's a delay of game. We're about to punt the ball. There's a delay of game, and we take the penalty. They take the penalty, and we then punt, and man gets hurt. And the punt coverage on that play, it was a good punt, was outstanding. And the punt coverage all day today was outstanding. I thought the coverage in general all day was outstanding, but the punt coverage, Hardy is a really solid special team guy. He really, really is. And those idiots debating whether that was a penalty on Hardy, that he wasn't really thrown into the guy receiving the ball was such bull. God, that was such bull. Of course he was. He wasn't running fast. He wasn't. He'd almost come to a stop before that. What a ridiculous call that was. So anyway, now we get to a point where the whole game's on. To me, I swear this. I wrote it. Game's on the line. I know that seems crazy, but think about what happened there. They're bragging about the fact that Rule takes the penalty. They just had a punt, a 50-yard punt with no return. Of course he's going to take the penalty. And of course he took the penalty because he knew that we were going to be backed up, and it wasn't our punter that was going to punt. So now Amendola comes in the game, and he's kicking out of our end zone. And that's why I said game on the line. This is it. They're going to get the ball wherever they're going to get the ball. They're going to get the ball like in chip shot field goal range at least. By the time he kicks a low punt or a crappy punt or something, they're going to have the ball about 25, 30-yard line. And the son of a bitch, excuse my language, gets off an incredible punt. He gets off an incredible punt. And not only that, the coverage again is fantastic. And net, I think it worked out to about the same. It was about a 50-yard punt. I couldn't believe it. I really thought, I said, this is it. Not only is it that for that, you got the rest of the game now with no punter. And you got an offense that's not doing crap. I mean, as if you're the Panthers, all you got to do is pin them down in their own zone, and you're going to have incredible field position all game long. It's over. And the Amendola comes in, and not only the rest of the game, he punts like an animal. It was crazy. You talk about a guy that has locked himself in. As long as he's a good field goal kicker, any team would want to keep him around. God forbid. How many times have we seen punters go down and a field goal kicker will come in, or he can't even damn do it. They'll bring somebody else in to punt, right? And it's a friggin' nightmare. They're squibbing little 20-yarders and kicking the ball out of bounds and net 3 yards. I mean, it's crazy stuff that's happened. I've never seen a guy come in and punt like that. And you would figure a field goal kicker would, nobody's asking him to kick a 48-yard directional out of bounds, which he did. The other one was like 60-something, 62 or something. It was directional. I couldn't believe the way he kicked the damn ball. I could not believe it. And I wrote down here, promise nobody saw that coming. I mean, if you want to be honest with yourself, you could have mapped out 20 different scenarios that are going to happen after that happened. Nobody could have saw that coming. Amendola has got a good career. As long as he can kick decently the rest of his career, he'll be in the NFL because teams fear that, and nobody's keeping two punters on the field. So the Jets, Panthers didn't get the ball. Franklin Myers makes a fantastic play. Marcus May makes even a better breakup on a third down play. And why did I write Matt Rule? Oh, yeah, 4th and 1. And Matt Rule decides to kick it. At that point, the Panthers, because I checked it real quick in my little handy tablet, I had like 16 things going on at once. At that point, the Panthers were averaging 5.7 yards a carry. And they decide to kick the ball, punt the ball. And again, I thank Matt Rule for being Matt Rule. I'm not a big Matt Rule fan. Sorry, I'm really not. I'm more of a Brady fan, the offensive coordinator, than a Matt Rule fan. So they punt the ball. It's a terrible punt. It's high, but it's not a great punt. Jets get the ball on the 15-yard line. Again, no running game to speak of, right? Panthers get the ball back and move the ball to the Jet 5, and it's the 4th and 1. Oh yeah, 4th and 1 in a 0-0 game, nothing game, and Matt Rule decides to go for it on that play. Now he's going to go for it on that play, and a lot of people would agree with that. A lot of people, I would take the points there. In a nothing game where I'm looking at a team that can't even get out of its own way offensively and a rookie quarterback that everything looks shaky, but he decides to go for it and he gives the Jets a gift, you know? And not only does he give the Jets a gift, that's why I had a problem with this. It wasn't necessarily even the 4th and 1. Now I remember it. It was the play call. You're running the ball directly between tackle and guard at will. They don't realize they're doing it because they're not doing it enough at this point. They're not even running. They're having so much success in the running game, they're not even doing it. And what do? They decide to run between tight end and tackle on the right side. So you guys have played football. Quarterback snaps the ball, a run up the middle, he's turning the hand up, boom. There's no time. You snap the ball, and then your fullback is coming through, and your tackle's coming through, and it's at least a second to 2 seconds longer to set that play. It gives the defense more time to play, but that didn't even make a difference because the ball hits the fullback, and the Jets recover the fumble. So the gifts keep coming, right? Unbelievable. At that point, Zach then makes his first great play. He hits Corey Davis and follows that by throwing the interception. The throw definitely should not have been made. 2 things. Number 1, the announcer said the second guy could have intercepted it, and they are absolutely right. And when Saleh was asked about it in the press conference, he said he needs to really just give that ball a little more lift or a little more oomph. But he said the second guy may have deflected it all. The second guy would have picked it. That was just a bad mistake. And I'm thinking about the reason I stopped. I was thinking about when Saleh kept saying the whole entire offseason, Zach never makes the same mistake. And, the next drive, Thompson, he throws the ball directly to Thompson. Thompson almost made a second interception. The kid's going to have some growing pains. All this stuff we heard in the press conference and stuff. That's why I promised myself, my first few videos I make, I stress so much how last year's BS, I wasn't going to be fooled by all the coach stuff. There's a couple things, they got me. They definitely got me. But what are you going to do? And then it turned into the McCaffrey show, And they move the ball right down the field, 3rd and goal. Sam misses the guy in the right corner of the end zone. They said he was wide open. I thought the coverage was decent, but he sailed the ball high, and they settle for a field goal. At here, I stop and I say, and this is stuff I already talked about, a few things at this point. The offensive line is horrible. Fant looks terrible, or is it Van Roten I wrote down? But the right side is getting beaten badly, okay? The left side's creating nothing at all. So when Saleh says it's okay to feel positive about Elijah Vera Tucker missing all that time, it's stuff I've already talked about. Just don't buy that, right? The Jets then go for it on 4th and 1. And I've discussed that. You pass the ball. You pass the ball. I know some guys will probably out there are probably not going to agree with that. You know what? Just being a Jet fan the last couple of years, it just does, to me, it just gets stuffed too many times. And watching the Jets and watching Brady for so many years, that 4th and 1, 4th and 2, Brady is either going to quarterback sneak it because he has an amazing perception of just seeing that wide open point right behind the 2 defensive tackles. Or they pass the ball. I mean, getting 2 yards is not a big deal in the NFL nowadays. But again, like I said, I understand why they were hesitant to do that. Sam then goes back to pass, and off his back foot, this is exactly what happened. He went back to pass, and I'm looking at him off his back foot. This is what I did. I went, like Sam. And within 3 seconds, that snicker that I just gave Sam came back and just not only bit, it chewed the shick out of my butt, when he hits Robbie Anderson for the touchdown. So now Sam's putting up numbers, right? And he hits Robbie Anderson. So for a lot of Jet fans now, this is starting to, there's a little bite in the butt here. For me, honestly, it meant 0-0, nada, nothing. It's going to mean nothing whatsoever. 6-7 weeks from now, it'll mean nothing. I'm telling you, that's the way I feel about it. If I'm proven wrong by them, then I'm proven wrong by them. But one thing did surprise me about the Panthers. And again, I don't know if it was that the Jets were their defense is fast. But then I start looking at some of the guys on defense for them. They had Burris, one of our guys. Frankie Louvu was out there too. Remember Frankie Louvu, that one game he had last year? Just flying around the field making plays. And then there was a lot of games he didn't do anything at all. So their defense was fast though today. I got to give them that. Throw it off the back foot. Okay. And then I write down here, Quinnen Williams. Where's Quinnen Williams today? No tackles, 3 assists. I looked it up just before I came to this. No tackles, 3 assists. Again, a guy that missed a lot of preseason. A guy that we were told in the press conference, it's Quinnen Williams. Of course he's going to... They just showed the guys that were supposed to be rusty were rusty. Period. Denzel Mims missed a lot of preseason. Again, rusty. So Lawson made a few nice plays. I wrote down here. He made that one great one-on-one play. That one play when he's rushing the passer, and from the angle he was coming in, ended up being like a draw or something, and he was all by himself on that play. He made a nice tackle in the backfield. And then the Panthers come out running. And the Jets were able to do a decent job against the run for a time there. Let's see here. Jets then finally have a good drive. The running game frees up. And 2 great passes and catches to Corey Davis. Yeah. The touchdown drive. When the Jets finally scored the touchdown, it opened up. They had that first good run by Ty Johnson, right? And then Corey Davis makes 2 great passes to Corey Davis. Corey Davis is going to have a special season. I don't know. I think his final stats were a tad under 100. I think he was at 97 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he is going to have, this is going to be a big Corey Davis year. The last one was a 22-yard touchdown pass. But on that play, Mekhi Becton goes down. So on Zach Wilson's first touchdown, you could see him celebrating. And I thought it was a penalty flag. I don't know, you guys, did you see Zach? He's celebrating. He's up the field, and you see Zach walking back, and you see his head down. And I just thought to myself, there's no flag in the corner on the screen. And all of a sudden, you hear the announcer say it's Becton's down, and it looked horrible. Hey, listen, you never know when they look at these things, but gut tells you he's done for the year. What happens is they say is that they have the ability, and I'm probably going to speak a little bit out of turn here, but they said certain things I picked up on. They have the ability, when they bring him in that little tent, to know whether it's an actual tear. And when they come out of that tent with a towel over their face and the towel comes off a little bit and you can just see them crying, it's a tear. So it's too bad. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Then Fant then gets moved over to left tackle, and Moses moves over to right tackle. And it had nothing to do with it whatsoever. But at that point, for whatever reason, the Jet offensive line starts to get a little bit better. They start to play a little bit, there are a couple runs. They start running the ball with a little more success. Zach runs it in for the 2-pointers. And then, the Jets had the biggest, letdown. You can't, after all that, you allow the Panthers to slowly go down the field, eat up some clock, and kick a field goal. And now you're back to 2 scores again. And when the Jets get the ball back, Ty Johnson runs for 12. getting a little good feeling. 2 incompletions later, and then Ty Johnson completely misses a blitzer. And it happened so fast. It happened so fast. I mean, he's standing back there, and the guy must have been, when they blitz and like that, and they're sort of hiding behind their tackle and your center, and then they just see the hole, and all of a sudden they just show up at your door. Still, it was a bad play, Jets get the ball back. Zach hits Mims for a 40-yarder. Now, I want to see in the comments if anybody else saw what I saw. Mims catches the ball in a weird position and is like running backwards a little bit and gets bounced around by Panthers a little bit and finally turns around a little bit. And then the Panthers lay off him a little bit, and he's still in bounds. He's still in bounds. He then turns to his right and steps out of bounds. And my thinking was, did he realize he was still in bounds and could have kept, he could have just started fighting again? And who God knows where he would have ended up? Watch that play again. I'm telling you, I'm not nuts. I'm not nuts. Because on the instant replay, I was already looking for it. And I saw it again on the instant replay. And I just, if Mims had known that he was not out of bounds, But anyway, I wrote that down. Then the play, and I've already discussed it at length. I mean, Van Roten, that play was just unbelievable. Zach gets sacked. A few plays later, he delivers just a dime to the right corner of the end zone. They said J.C. Horn had coverage. The coverage was excellent. The kid's hand was right there. The ball just sort of sailed past it. And Davis had his second touchdown of the game. They go for the 2-point conversion, and on that 2-point conversion, that is a typical play where a veteran quarterback has a time clock in their head and a rookie has a time clock in their head. And that was my point always about Sam. Sam still has, in my opinion, the rookie's time clock in his head. And what I mean by that is a veteran will take it to the very, very end, and a rookie is back in the pocket in a short little 2-yard. I mean, it's a 2-yarder. You're at the 2-yard line trying to make a pass play here. And what happens with a rookie is when a certain amount of time goes by and you still are not being totally converged on to be sacked, the rookie's time clock says you should be sacked by now. And what they do is they don't have to, but they throw the ball. They pass the ball. I know that sounds crazy, but just watch the play. And that used to drive me crazy with Sam. The happy feet would start with Sam, and there was no reason for it. Wilson had another at least 2 or 3 seconds, and where he was throwing the ball, it wasn't going to happen. Regardless, not a big deal. I more wanted to point it out from Sam's point of view, which drove me crazy. The kid's gonna get past that, 2-point conversion, no good. You wonder if they had gotten the two. I wrote down here. You wonder if they had gotten the 2-point conversion. My guess is they probably would have kicked off full, not gone for the onside kick. I would have done that. You know what though? I keep forgetting. I got lost. I thought they had 3 timeouts at the time. They only had 2 timeouts. I don't know. Tough call. But I think it would have been a harder decision had it not been they needed a touchdown. Becomes a different game. Second one played, ready for that. Okay, one more thing. This is the last thing as far as the game concerned. Then we'll go right to the presser. When Zach is lining up for the second down play, before they got McCaffrey's run to get the first down, the Panthers are running up and down the sideline and calling a timeout. I mean, like a fire drill. And they call a timeout. And I kept thinking to myself, were they going to pass the ball there? Belichick does that all the time when he had Brady. And it was successful all the time. When the team has enough timeouts where they're going to get the ball back with some time, 45 seconds, a minute, it's not enough with no timeouts. It's not perfect, but enough time. I'm not talking about a team with, there's a minute 58 to go and you have all your timeouts. Or no, not even that. I'm talking about like 2.5, 3 minutes to go and you have all your timeouts. Then I understand maybe you want to pass the ball. But this was one of those, you're going to run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Nobody ever thought they would pass the ball in that situation. And when they ran that, when they desperate to get that timeout, I couldn't help thinking that maybe they were going to pass the ball in that play. How beautiful would that have been? Yeah, of course they could have completed it. Probably would have, with the way the Jets were stacking the line. But I would have preferred that because I just knew, giving that guy 3 chances, he was going to bust a first down, and that's what happens. That's what happens. The offensive line, and I made some other notes here. Offensive line was deplorable, but looked better. It definitely did look better in the second half. Yeah, I do want to feel better that the defense played better in the second half, but there's this little voice in my head wondering if it was the Jet defense or was it the Panthers offense also, and probably it was a combination of both. Listen, we're going to find out something. We're going to find out. We're going to find out if Ulbrich and Saleh are one of those coaching teams that have the ability at halftime to make good adjustments. And right now, you got to give it to them. Whoever it was, you got to give them give them credit for the fact that there was adjustments made at halftime, and it worked. Because the Panthers couldn't do squat in the second half offensively. The only time they got anything at all was that the biggest time they got that field goal right after the Jets scored. That was the killer. But one of the biggest adjustments they made was taking Sheldrick Redwine out and replacing him with Adrian Colbert. Now, whether Colbert, who came in, I think I looked up his stats because I just didn't see anything go bad after that. Colbert came in, had 2 tackles and 1 assist. But Redwine, dear Lord, he got beat. He got beat on Robbie Anderson's touchdown. And before that, he got beat by, I forgot who, DJ Moore. He got beat on a big 3rd down play, and Marcus May it was on the ground. He had to come over and make the tackle, and Marcus May is on the ground, and he just turns and looks up at him like, what are you doing? So they finally took him out of the game, and I got a funny feeling we may not be seeing him anymore. And yeah, that was a huge adjustment they made on that too. So Sherwood got injured, right? We were credited with 1 pass defended. Unbelievable. 1 pass defended. And that was the first quarter. I had to be the first quarter won by Michael Carter. That was definitely a defensive. Yeah, he definitely defended that pass. Nothing from Bryce Huff. Talk. Remember I talked about that? I'm so tired of the talking. LaMarcus Joyner not playing and having those, Redwine come in and play safety. Dear God. Sherwood got injured also. Again, with the catches, Braxton Berrios 5 receptions, Corey Davis 5 receptions. The tight ends both had 3. Rushing, Coleman 24, Johnson 15, Carter 16. And Zach finishes 21 for 33, 239 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, 4 rushes for 17 yards. 21 for 33 and 6 drops. So that's 21 for 27. But we're not going to do that. Still, 21 for 33. And what was he, 4 for 10 at one point? 4 for 10 at one point. So 17 for 23. He ended the game. I mean, it was it looked like a rookie's career in one game. So we hope we have that to hang our hat on. As we are speaking right now, let me make sure that update is correct. We are going to give you updates upon updates there, kids. I love the glasses I'm wearing, by the way. I don't care what anybody thinks. Cleveland beating the Chiefs 29-20. New Orleans killing Green Bay 38-3. Giants losing 20-7, and the Dolphins beating the Patriots 17-13. Ouchie mama. I know Mac Jones had his first touchdown pass today. I know statistically he looked good in the first half. I think he was like 14 for 19. But that's where we stand right now. Son of a gun. Green Bay, huh? Jeez, just goes to show you, right? And that's where we stand. So real quick, we're going to do this really, really quick. The Sala Apressa asked about Zach, and he was honest. First half, Zach, the whole offense. Second half, they were better. He just said this first half, they just didn't play well. Defense, identical. He liked Ulbricht's adjustments, and how nice is that to hear? Who am I talking to? I mean, it's nice to hear that our coaches made an adjustment. You know, I mean, we're used to other teams adjusting to us, and we're putting up zeros every second half, you know? So there was an adjustment made. You know what? On both sides of the ball. On both sides of the ball. So that's good. He was asked exactly what adjustments were made. I'm not going to mention the writer. That guy is struggling, man. I shouldn't do that and leave that hanging. The guy from the Daily News, the new guy from the Daily News, he's you know what? I say he's struggling. He asks too deep of questions. You know, the coach can't answer these questions. He's not going to tell you. You know, what did you guys do, coach? Asked about Zach's resolve after the sack. He said that he's a tough kid, fearless. And then he said, even the way he kept coming back after the drop, and he stopped himself, he caught himself, everything that was going on in the game or something like that, he said. 6 drops. Asked about the Panthers, 2 inside linebackers switching their numbers an hour before the game, which is exactly the deadline you can do that. And he said he went like this, don't care, meant nothing. But yeah, but for Zach, was it tough because, you know, they're reading out the linebackers' numbers, you know, and they knew they were playing against the rookies. He goes, no, I didn't care. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm sorry, I'm not going to say it. Boy, God, I so want to say it. Wimps. I'll just call them wimps. What just a J-O thing to do. Yeah, but Jay, it's football, it's sports, and you take every single thing. It's just like the people that defended, you know, the cheating in baseball or steroid. You take advantage of anything. You think it's Dorana. Football. It's football. To me, you put a gigantic scarlet letter on your chest the next time I see you that has a big, here's how we'll do it because I didn't want to see the word. It has a big P on it. Big, fat P. And I wouldn't like if my team did it too. Not that it's not even gaining advantage. It's just such a childish thing to do, you know? What a childish thing to do. Unbelievable. Then he was asked if the Jets have to start all over with the protection of the quarterback, and Saleh said, well, listen, it's the quarterback route running line, you know, it could be the receiver's route running, it could be the quarterback holding the ball too much. And I wrote, listen, this was the line. It was the line. It was the line. It was the line. It was our running backs picking up the blitz. And I wrote down here, it was the offensive play calling too. There are plays you can run to beat that, you know, or at least to make him think about it. And we didn't. You know, there are fake screen draws that would have worked incredibly well against something like that. You know, there's so many things that you could have done against that. And I'm shocked that we didn't do anything like that. But the biggest thing you can do to beat that is block. Anyway, with such a young team, are you worried about their psyche? What the F does that mean after week 1, I write? What the F does that mean after week 1? He just smiled. He said, no, we'll be back. He gushed over what the job Amendola did punting. why Fant, not Morgan? He said both are starters, and both might even be starting next week, he said. They'll both probably be starting next week. And then I wrote down, hey, Guidry, Carter. This is the last thing, guys. I made a video about 8-9 weeks ago. No, 4 or 5 weeks ago, when the secondary was struggling. And a guy asked him, after Guidry had played pretty well in a preseason game, or Carter had. And he says, does it make you feel better the way Guidry and Carter are playing because the defensive backs have struggled this preseason? He said, absolutely. He goes, always remember, those guys didn't come out of college because they were tremendous nickels in college or tremendous slot covers in college. At one time, they were cornerbacks. We bring them here and convert them because what we see. And to me, and I said it in the video, a bell went off. And if you know what, I know exactly what I said in the video. I should bring it up and put it in right here. I went, if I'm Bless Austin and I'm Bryce Hall and I'm one of their friends, I'd call up and say, hey guys, you watching this press conference? No, you might want to. That's exactly what I said in the video. And the point is that I haven't mentioned Eccles' name much. He had 5 tackles. He was one of the leading tacklers. He was off his player on a couple third down conversions, but still nothing major. Between him, Guidry, Carter, the Jets are slowly with Guidry, and I think Carter too. Carter's a little bit behind, but only because of the time he's been with the team. They're slowly but surely developing some lower draft picks that will help the team in the future. And in my video that I did before this game, I talked about how the Panthers rookies on defense were all high draft picks, and the Jets were lower draft picks. And when you go to the grocery store and you buy the cheap stuff, the cheap meat or the cheap, you got to go home and you got to pay a little more attention to it. A little extra garlic, a little extra this, a little extra that, before you can get them to taste the same. A lot of times you can't. But when you pick that many guys late in a draft, that's what you're trying to do. And it looks like to me, slowly but surely, those guys are starting to stand out. That yes, it was a wise move. Some of these guys are going to stand out and become really solid NFL players. They're just not, like I said in that video, they're not shiny Cadillacs. Not yet. So that's where it stands, guys. I will be doing a video for thegangrene.com. They have asked me to do a preview video, a review video of the game today, and a preview video of the next game against the Patriots. So I will be doing a video for them, and that'll be every Monday. And it's a great website. They're really good people. I've been going to that website for a long, long time. And I started there, believe it or not, doing weather. And it's a long story. In fact, if you watch this, I have a video in here, welcomegangrene.com. It explains the whole story. And that's pretty much it, guys. That's pretty much it. I know this is a long video. Let me see, how long are we up to? 52 minutes. Ooh, dear Lord. And I'm probably going to do 2 breakdown videos at the end of games from now on. Probably a real quickie for the fan that likes to hop around, and for the guy that likes to just grab his plate of food, sit down, and just hear some idiot talk about what he just saw. For that guy too. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's where we stand. So keep the faith. It's week 1. It's week 1. It's just the beginning, right? So we're going to be just fine. Have a great night, guys. Take care.